Oxygen is like that roommate who does all the chores, but never asks for credit. It makes up 21% of our air, keeping your cells alive and the sky blue. We ignore it every single day. But what if this invisible roommate packed its bags and left for just 1 second? No goodbye note, no warning, just gone. You might think you can hold your breath for a second, but spoiler alert, your lungs are the least of your problems. The moment oxygen vanishes, the sky pulls a total 180. Without oxygen molecules to scatter blue light, the atmosphere loses its color instantly. Even in the middle of a sunny Tuesday, the sky turns into a pitch-black void. You'd be standing there in the dark, looking at the sun like a lonely spotlight in a theater. It's a little day-to-night transition faster than a TikTok filter, and way more terrifying. While you're wondering why the sky went dark, the ozone layer, which is literally made of 3 oxygen atoms, just quit its job. This is your planet's only sunscreen. Without it, you're basically a piece of bread inside a cosmic toaster. In just 1 second, every human outside gets hit by a brutal blast of UV radiation. It's an instant, DNA-sizzling sunburn. If you were working on your tan, congratulations. You're now well done. Fire needs oxygen. No oxygen, no boom. Inside every car, plane, and lawnmower, the internal combustion process just stops. Millions of cars on the freeway suddenly feel like they've run out of gas. At the exact same time, it's a global mechanical ghosting. You'd see thousands of drivers staring at their dashboards in confusion, while their cars coast silently toward a massive, worldwide pileup. Here's a fun fact. Oxygen is the glue that keeps concrete structural. Without it, buildings don't just sit there. They lose their molecular bond. For that 1 second, the Burj Khalifa and your local Starbucks both become about as sturdy as a dry sandcastle. They won't turn to liquid, but they'll develop millions of microcracks instantly. Even when the second is over, your house is basically held together by hopes and dreams. In a world without oxygen, metals get very touchy-feely. On Earth, a thin layer of oxidation prevents metals from fusing together. Take that away, and any 2 pieces of bare metal that touch will cold weld instantly. They become one solid piece. Your car's engine, fused. Your watch gears, fused. Your favorite pair of scissors? Now a very weird metal V sculpture. It's the ultimate nightmare for anyone with a toolkit. Losing 21% of the air pressure in an instant is like being teleported to the top of the Himalayas. In a heartbeat, your inner ear can't handle that kind of drama. Pop. Everyone on Earth would experience their eardrums rupturing at the same time. The pain would be incredible, and the world would go muffled just as the real chaos starts. If you wanted some peace and quiet, well, you got it. The Earth's crust is 45% oxygen. When it vanishes, the literal ground beneath your feet loses half its atoms and crumbles into a fine dust. You aren't standing on solid rock anymore. You're standing on a collapsing void. For 1 second, everyone on the planet starts a freefall toward the center of the Earth. It's the ultimate the floor is lava game, except the floor is actually disappearing. Water is H2O. Take away the oxygen, and the oceans are just hydrogen gas. Hydrogen is incredibly light and loves to expand. In that 1 second, the seas would turn into a massive, bubbling mist of gas. If you were on a cruise ship, you're no longer sailing, you're falling into a giant, wet cloud. It's like the world's biggest bubble bath, but with 100% more existential dread. Then, the second is over. Oxygen rushes back in to fill the vacuum. But it doesn't come back quietly. It returns with a planetary scale thud. This creates a massive sonic boom that would shatter whatever windows were lucky enough to survive the pressure drop. It's the Universe slamming the door after realizing it forgot its keys. Earth is back, but it's definitely not okay. When the oxygen hits that cloud of hydrogen gas from the oceans, they start to hook up again, violently. This recombination releases massive amounts of heat. You'd see localized fireballs and weird, atmospheric explosions all over the place. It's like the Earth is throwing a very dangerous, very uncoordinated fireworks show to celebrate its return to life. So, the second is over. You're alive, but your ears are ringing, your skin is crispy, and your car is a fused brick of metal. The global economy is gone, and the ground is still settling from its 1 second vacation. We survived, but the repair bill for that 1 second would probably take a few centuries to pay off. Maybe we should start being a bit nicer to the trees, right? While we're having a collective heart attack, anaerobic bacteria are having the time of their lives. To them, oxygen is literally poison. For one glorious second, they're thinking, finally, the neighbors moved out. They'd start multiplying like crazy, throwing a microscopic rave in the mud. Of course, when the oxygen returns, the party is over, and they go back to hiding in your gut and the bottom of swamps. That cold welding we mentioned, it's currently murdering your electronics. Inside your phone, tiny metal contacts just fused into a single lump. You try to check Twitter to see if the world is ending, but your screen is black. Even if you put it in rice, it's gone. Somewhere, a tech CEO is smiling because everyone has to buy a new phone. But then he realizes his factory just fused into a giant metal paperweight too. On a plane, the engines flaring out is just the appetizer. When the air pressure drops 21%, the plane loses lift and drops hundreds of feet in a heartbeat. Oxygen masks drop down. But, surprise, there's no oxygen in them. You'd be pinned to the ceiling, watching your ginger ale float in midair, only to be slammed back into your seat when gravity and pressure reclaim their territory a second later. The oceans are currently an identity crisis of bubbling hydrogen gas. As it rises, it creates a thick, weird fog that covers the coastlines. It's the most humid day in human history. Forget your hair frizzing. You're breathing in the lightest element in the universe. If anyone manages to spark a lighter right now, they're not just lighting a cigarette. They're testing the explosive limits of the local atmosphere. Your dog is looking at you with deep, existential betrayal. To him, the sky went black, his ears popped, and the ground shook, and he's 100% sure it's your fault. What did you do with the air? Even the birds that fell out of the sky are just sitting on the grass, blinking, wondering if they should just give up on the whole flying thing and become squirrels instead. When the second ends, the air doesn't just drift back, it implodes. A wall of air rushes into the vacuum at the speed of sound, creating a planetary scale thump. It's a shockwave that would make a rock concert look like a library. If your windows didn't break from the pressure drop, there are definitely shards of glass on your carpet now. Earth just slammed the door on its way back in. As the oxygen returns, it finds all that loose hydrogen from the oceans and says, "Let's get back together." This chemical reunion releases massive amounts of heat. Coastal cities would feel a sudden, violent wave of hot steam. It's like the entire planet just stepped into a sauna that was set to broil. It's uncomfortable, it's wet, and it smells like a wet dog and burnt ozone. The oxygen is back, but the damage is done. Those micro cracks in the concrete, they're structural nightmares now. Every bridge, dam, and overpass needs an inspection yesterday. Engineers would be the most stressed out people on the planet. The global repair bill for that 1 second would be so high, we'd probably have to start using a new currency based on how many bricks do you have that aren't broken. Satellites in orbit would be fine, but the atmospheric shift would mess with their signals. For a few minutes, your GPS might tell you that you're currently in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean instead of your driveway. Self-driving cars would be having a total nervous breakdown. It's a bad day to be an algorithm, and an even worse day to be relying on Google Maps to find the nearest hospital. Now that you have air again, you take a massive, shaky breath. But the pressure shift has left your lungs feeling like they've been through a car wash. Your chest hurts, your ears are ringing, and you have a metallic taste in your mouth from the ozone. You're alive, sure, but you feel like you just survived a 12-round boxing match with a ghost. And the ghost won. In the fields, plants are just as stressed as we are. Their stomata closed up during the gap to prevent moisture loss, but the UV blast might have fried their delicate tissues. Every farm on Earth just took a massive hit. If you thought grocery prices were bad before, wait until you see the price of a pre-disaster apple. We're all going to be eating a lot of canned beans for a while. Every lab in the world just lost years of work. Vacuum chambers failed, metal equipment fused, and sensitive sensors were fried by the pressure wave. Scientists are weeping over their clipboards. They finally have a perfect experiment to study, but they don't have any working equipment to measure it with. It's the ultimate scientific I saw it, but I can't prove it moment. Imagine being an insurance agent 5 minutes after the oxygen returns. Your phone isn't just ringing, it's basically screaming. Acts of God usually cover floods or fires, but the periodic table quit for a second isn't exactly in the fine print. Insurance companies would fold faster than a lawn chair. It's the only time in history when I'm sorry, your policy doesn't cover reality warping is a legitimate legal defense. When that 21% of the atmosphere slammed back into the hydrogen-heavy air, it didn't just get wet. It got corrosive. Metals that didn't fuse together are now rusting at warp speed. It's like the Earth decided to age 50 years in 5 minutes. If you have a vintage car, you might want to check the garage. It's probably turned into a very expensive pile of orange flakes while you were busy re-inflating your eardrums. Even though the concrete is solid again, those microfractures we talked about are now leaking. Big time. Engineers are racing to dams like the Hoover or the Three Gorges, watching as tiny cracks turn into high-pressure water jets. We be living in a constant state of will it burst today. It turns out, you can't just put a band-aid on a structure that lost its molecular mojo for a second. The trauma would be universal. For the rest of human history, people would be terrified of taking a deep breath and finding nothing. Oxygen anxiety becomes the world's leading mental health crisis. Every time the sun sets or a cloud passes, people would hold their breath, wondering if the sky is about to go goth again. We'd all have a very new, very deep appreciation for the air we breathe. The world is dark, and not just because the sky was black. The power grid is a mess of fused transformers and snapped lines. Repairing it isn't as simple as flipping a switch. We'd have to rebuild the infrastructure from scratch. Welcome back to the 1800s, folks. Hope you like candles and storytelling, because your Netflix subscription is officially on an indefinite hiatus until we can unfuse the power plants. Strangely, nature might recover faster than us. Sure, the birds are confused and the whales are stressed, but they don't have mortgages or power grids to worry about. As long as there's grass and water, they'll keep going. Within a few months, forests would start reclaiming the crumbled highways. It's a bittersweet reminder that the Earth doesn't actually need us. It just needs its oxygen back. Governments would immediately pivot every cent into understanding what happened. Was it a freak quantum accident? A glitch in the simulation? The new space race wouldn't be about Mars. It would be about figuring out how to stop the atmosphere from ghosting us again. We'd spend trillions of dollars trying to back up the air, which is a sentence that would have sounded insane just 24 hours ago. With all the engines failing and fires going out, there's a weird, 1 second dip in carbon emissions. Environmentalists might call it a win. But the secondary fires and explosions from the returning oxygen probably cancelled out the progress. It's the ultimate 1 step forward, 2 steps back for climate change. The Earth got a breather, but it was the most violent breather in history. If this disaster taught us anything, it's that we are not the masters of the universe. We're just guests on a rock that happens to have the right chemistry. One tiny change in the recipe, and the whole restaurant collapses. It's a humbling thought. We spend so much time worrying about Wi-Fi signals and politics, forgetting that we're all just one oxygen atom away from a very long fall. So, the next time you take a breath, really feel it. That 21% of the air is the only thing standing between you and the pitch-black sky, crumbling buildings, and a very sudden tan. It's the invisible glue of your life. Don't take it for granted, because as we've seen, even 1 second without it is enough to turn our entire civilization into a footnote in a very dusty history book. Thanks for sticking around for this deep dive into atmospheric chaos. If you enjoyed this look at the 1 second oxygen gap, hit that subscribe button. Assuming your phone didn't fuse into a brick. Today, what other what-if scenarios should we explore? Let us know in the comments. Stay curious, stay informed, and above all, keep breathing. See you in the next one.